does Stephen A. always say? Stay off the weed. Well, the day when NFL players don't have to follow that advice may be sooner than later, folks, according to USA Today's Jarrett Bell. Here's the quote. So voters in 7 states last week approved cannabis, either for recreational or medicinal use, and by extension, advanced the argument that the league's ban on it is like something out of the Stone Age. If the NFL wants to be progressive, it can make a strong commitment to funding some of the research being conducted to study the effects of marijuana usage. After all, in pledging to the long-term wellness of its players, benefits could improve the quality of lives. Max?
Yeah.
Is Jarrett Bell right?
You know, yes, he's absolutely right. This is absurd. And we just went through an election where there was a disinformation campaign that wound up successful. That's not okay. It's not okay that you just spread false information and that gets accepted as science in this case, and then we enact laws upon lies. There was a concerted effort to intentionally mislead people, lie to people about the effects of marijuana, which led in its continued prohibition after the prohibition of alcohol was lifted. This has been going on for the better part of 100 years now. That is the idea now that, like, for example, in the state of California, you can play for the Raiders, and it's legal. Marijuana is now recreational use, is legal as it should be in California, if alcohol is legal. And yet the NFL continues to say, we don't care. So now they can't hide behind, well, we're upholding the law. No, you're not. You're upholding your own rules, and those rules are based on the interpretation of the science. So either you're stupid enough not to understand the science when you see it, or you're willfully ignoring it and upholding a crazy, hypocritical double standard. If the standard is alcohol for the NFL, with whom they are in bed, they're in bed with alcohol companies. They peddle it during commercial breaks, okay? If they're sponsored by them, essentially. If you're in bed with the alcoholic beverage companies, you cannot also hold the position that you are testing for weed even if it's legal because it's somehow worse for you, and also say that you have a functioning brain. You cannot say all those things.
Before I get into my point, let me ask you a question, Max, do you believe that weed can make you high?
Yes.
Okay. You have seen people high off weed, have you not?
Yes.
Okay. I'm from Hollis, Queens, New York City. I'm from the streets of New York. Ain't no question I've seen people high. Hell, let me stop lying. You know what I'm saying? I got friends and family members that have no problem getting high. All right, let me...
What you're about to say is going to make me question you right now.
Well, I don't blame you for that, but I've always been a disciplined lad. Let's just say weed wasn't my vice. I had other vices, okay? Right. Let's just leave it at that, okay? My point to you is this. Max Kellerman, the fact of the matter is this. There's a line here that I want to make sure. First of all, I want to make sure we're not talking alcohol. I get your point about that because it is hypocritical on the part of the NFL. I'm not disputing that. I also want to point out that in Jarrett Bell's great column, because he does a great job for USA Today, my man, keep doing your thing, baby. He has a line in here that says, but we're talking about medical marijuana with the key distinction that may make it plausible as a pain management alternative. It does not contain THC, the ingredient that gets a person high. So let me say, I'm excluding that. When I say stay off the weed, I am talking about dudes who want to use it for recreational purposes, that don't mind showing up to work. Ha! That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about medical marijuana. I'm not talking about pain reduction and assisting in pain tolerance. I'm not talking about medicinal purposes. I'm not talking about all that, nor am I comparing it to alcohol. I'm not going there. I'm talking about the dudes who want to get high.
I like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Here's where you make a jump here.
So hold on, wait. Here's the jump that I'm making. I am saying to you that obviously, because I know this is important to you, Mr. Scientist Spock Kellerman, I have no scientific evidence to back up what I'm about to say.
Clearly.
You can't tell me that 50% of the dudes don't want to just get high.
So what?
Because I'm saying that's a damn problem.
Why? No, because this is the jump you're making.
You want to show, hold on,
yeah.
let's call it,
To be in an altered state through life?
Hold on. I am so sick of you with this issue. I want you to sit up here on national television and tell the world what you're saying. You're basically saying you have no problem with somebody showing up to work.
Wait, you won't let me say this point. That's my point. The jump you make is, I'm saying if it's legal in the state of California to use it recreationally, if the standard for a recreational drug is alcohol, then you must not test for weed if you don't test for alcohol. Now, you are jumping from there to...
I specifically said I understand that.
You are jumping from there to guys showing up to work high. You should not show up to work high. You should also not show up to work drunk. Why is it when you're okay or not okay or whatever it is your position is with alcohol, you don't bring up, hey, if guys are showing up drunk, of course you shouldn't show up drunk or high to work.
Wait a minute. I have been on the record saying I support your position about the hypocrisy of it all in terms of alcohol.
But why do you get to showing up high to work?
We're talking about the issue of weed.
Right.
So I'm saying just say, they ignore. I'm not. Stay with the weed.
I'll stay with
the weed.
My pleasure. If you show up to work high, you have a problem with weed. You can have a problem with prescription drugs, alcohol, weed, various vices or pain medication, etc.
But you know, Max, what's going to happen? The second you sit up there and permit, you trying to tell me brothers ain't going to be getting zooted and high, going to practice, showing up to a game on a Sunday?
The players who do
When are you saying it's okay?
Trying to tell me that's not going to happen?
On their own. For pain, tell us, like alcohol is?
Not at work. You shouldn't be
But that's what I'm saying.
chemically altered in that way with a psychotropic drug at work. I mean, but how does it follow from recreational use or pain
Stephen A. thinks it's going to open Pandora's box.
Here's the bottom line. I don't believe for 1 second, and this is where we may part ways, I don't believe for 1 second that these brothers, and I say brothers, I'm not talking about just black men, I'm talking about black, white, everybody, okay? I'm saying these dudes that can't stay off the weed, these dudes are doing it now when they got millions of dollars at stake and jeopardizing their livelihood to get to puff, and pass. Excuse me, all of a sudden it's going to be legal and now you're going to discipline yourself? I don't believe it for 1 second.
You say don't go back
way.
You say don't go back to alcohol, but it's impossible to avoid when you make that argument. Alcohol is more addictive than marijuana. But that's not up for debate. So are guys showing up drunk? I guess the answer is yes, but you have no problem with that.
2 seconds ago, you just acknowledged that we weren't going to talk about the alcohol because there's no dispute there. I'm tired of you doing that. There's no dispute. I totally
argue against
If we had an argument about alcohol, I would say the same thing you're saying. So why you keep bringing that up? We're talking about weed.
Because my point is there is a standard set, and that standard should be met. And if the standard is alcohol, I have to use that as the standard.
You're talking about standards and science. I'm saying I don't disagree. I'm saying on a subject of weed, do not allow dudes to show up to work.
I agree. Hey, watch. Let me just be very clear. NFL players, you shouldn't be showing up to work high or drunk or anything like that. That's a bad idea.
But according to you, they have the right to do it because it's no big deal.
We have to go.
Shouldn't be touching
on their own time.
I wish we had more time. You both make great arguments, but we have to move on.
When we see Max comes in and
I mean, you show up to work on something. What is this nonsense that you're spewing?
Hot tea.
Okay.
Milk and honey.
Hot tea.
Milk and honey.
That's what they should test for.
Milk and honey.
Let's keep it moving, guys. Tom Brady and Carmelo Anthony took some time out of their busy lives to make fun of themselves. Check out these fresh new commercials. We'll get into it next.